presidency, Good Guy for the year 2001, Dick Grinder.
Dick Grinder is a special man, and he deserves not only the recognition as a good guy, but as a special friend to all of those who know him. If you do know Dick, you know he is both humble and dedicated, but most importantly, he has integrity in everything he does. Dick, congratulations, and I hope you have an absolutely wonderful evening tonight. Thank you.
Once established.
Well, I thought about the whole family coming barefoot, you know, like the cobbler who takes care of everyone else and his own family has no shoes. But actually, Dick has been taking care of us. We remember some good things. He loved to read to Ellen Rudyard Kipling. He would miss a few meals playing tetherball with his son and many other things. But he's been a good guy to us, really. So we did wear shoes. But I want to also tell you his very favorite story has in it Trip, Trop, Billy Goat Gruff. That was his very favorite story. We live in Wilmington because of Mr. Connor. Does anyone remember Mr. Connor? It might have been Mr. O'Connor, I'm not sure. He was at the 4th of July building, which at that time was a library. Yep. And he was so awesome. They filed Ellen in a file cabinet. She was in a little, she was a baby then, an infant, 6 weeks. They'd put her there and then we'd go around and look for our books. And Dick just thought he was such a nice guy that we bought a house in Wilmington because of that. Dick and Richard then joined Troop 59, and then they moved over to 56, which I'm sure you've heard by now. And he's a registered independent. What that means, but I know that he calls me or we talk to each other and ask each other who we're going to vote for so we can cancel each other's votes all the time. I thought that was rather amusing. I have 2 guests for Dick. One of them is, you know how we've been supporting Dr. Heller. You keep losing your glasses all the time, and I finally got you a chain for him. Well, now he's having trouble with his sunglasses. So, here. There's a pair of sunglasses with a rope on it. Also, as soon as we could afford 2 cars, he got a damn red car, which he had to have. And he's had red cars ever since then. I could tell you a lot of funny things about it. But the most amusing thing to me is he's so proud. It's a 94. He's got 34,000 miles on it. And he's proud he only fills it once a month. And at the price of that, I'm happy for that, though. So anyway, so when he got his first red car, I got him a key case, and it had on it FF, Foolish 40s, because he had his silly red car. So now, honey, here's an SS Silly 60s. We're proud of you, honey. And congratulations for tonight.
Years, right? 46 years, amazing. Good guy, year 2001, Dick Grinder.
Thank you. I hope you don't think it's too presumptuous, but I wrote down a few notes. I was really worried because I read the town crier, and it said something about some of the Wilmington good guys wore skirts. So I read through the article, and after understanding it a bit better, I felt better. Peggy's been working with me as long as we've been married, and tonight, doing her best to keep me out of trouble. I tried not to step on Harry too many times. I noticed he kind of slid over up against the podium there, so I didn't have as good a shot on his foot. Like so many of you, my faith is important to me. I had the pleasure of having good parents, and my sister, who's a couple of years older than me. We got along as well as brother and sisters do. I remember being a child and finally turning 12, and I remember the names of Scoutmasters. There was a Jay Stallworth and a gentleman named Tripp. There's also a Sergeant Waddell and my dad, who filled in as a Scoutmaster for a while. My dad told me when my sister had gone to William & Mary, and my dad was, of course, paying for that. It wasn't free, even though we had gone in through Virginia at that time. And my dad said, you can go to any school you want if you can get in and if you pay your way. So he helped me look into the military academy, which you not only could attend, but as a cadet you got paid. The pay is probably the same way now, was 50% of what a second lieutenant got. At that time, a second lieutenant got $222.30 a month. So cadet pay was $111.15, and I was on my way. I graduated, and I made a smart move on November 27th, 1954, and when I married Peggy Fletcher. I don't remember, I think Navy won that year, but I still showed up for the wedding. Richard arrived in January 30th, 1956. He was born in Royal Oak, Michigan. We own part of a hospital up there. And from 1957 to 1958, I was in peacetime Korea. And that was, I had been in the Army 3 years at that time, and that was the time you had to pay back at least 3 years of active duty before your academy time counted. So you had to make a decision whether to stay in or not. I decided to stay in. Peggy went home, and I went to the land of the morning calm. Luckily, the war had been over for quite a while. Just a little thing from Korea that made a great impression on me. I can remember watching school children walking in the early morning mist, and you could see for miles. And the children were walking across the fields, down the roads. These are small children and older children helping each other along. But they were going to school. It was important. There weren't any yellow school buses, weren't any buses at all. But it was important to them and to their parents. I had, before going to Korea, I had taken all kinds of air defense missile training And of course, when I got to Korea, I had nothing to do with air defense, but I was well trained for it. We had some other events. I went to Germany for 3 years. I went in 1962, October of 1962. For some of you, you would remember that. For others, you read about it in your history books. That was the time of the Cuban Missile Crisis. So it was a rather exciting time. Things I remember, a couple of things. I was on duty at a group headquarters, and this was the day after, well, it was actually the morning after President Kennedy had been assassinated. And I had to read the announcement of his passing and then also mention President Johnson was now the president to make it official. I remember that well. It was a day with a kind of a cold day, and Germany in the early morning can be kind of grim. A few months later, I had a better thing where I was up inspecting. I used to visit the various air defense missile sites, and I was up inspecting a battalion operations center. Well, actually, I was on the way to the operations center, and as I was passing by a little section of a German village, I was attacked by a group of geese. And they were hissing and carrying on and telling me they really didn't want me on their road. So I guess that was an unreconstructed group that was there. Joe mentioned my being in Vietnam, February 67, February 68. I was assistant G2 Air, one of a number of them. That's a staff officer position. Staff officers are kind of like staff infections to the to the people that were in regular outfits. What I worked on was helping coordinate people to get photos and getting the information out after that. I had a classmate there who, I'll call him Joe, because that was his name. He got some other thing. He said, I have a few other things I'd like for you to do, and just to liven things up. So rather than sitting around in the compound there, he said, we have these investigations that we need people to go out and talk to the people involved and find out what's going on. So I got to see some other things within, less than 100 miles around where I was located. And that was interesting. Joe was always a big help to find things for me to do. I'd want to say on the one time I was out, and this is not a combat story, but I had a young man who didn't have, he had a pair of fatigue trousers, or actually jungle trousers, and he asked if I could see about getting him a better pair. The pair he had was really full of holes. And I got back, and I never really got back to him to get him a pair of good jungle trousers. So, is that my time? But he was nice enough to let me share a hole in the ground with him, and a little later chopper came in and we came out. My Bronze Star is without a valor, without a V. It's because I did a good job, a meritorious job. No valor involved. And I know with Joe Hartka, valor is important. But I wasn't there. I was there to do my job, and I was glad to go. And there was no one watching when I kissed the ground when I got back. I've had a lot of fun. I've been given, so far, 69 years. And I know tonight as I speak, it seems a lot longer. But I've been happy to work with various groups. But I really don't work so much with a group as I work with people. And the people have been very good to me. Bertha DePrez's husband, Al, who's gone now, he got me interested in AIM. And Judy Raxdorf and Bob, we had a lot of fun in scouting. And Cheryl and Ed with Cub Scouting. So I would just want to say, as the Cub Scouts training says, KISMIF. Keep it simple, make it fun. Thank you.